the movers are due here in, let's see, how many days? Today's Sunday, so here we go. 11 days. Things that we're still doing, but what I am doing today and what I wanted to just jump on here and talk about is when you start this process, one of the things I had to do was not only decide things that were going to go with us to Singapore and stuff that wasn't, so that was like the big thing. Then you kind of had to start thinking of in buckets, because we have 3 methods to get things to Singapore. So the biggest one is definitely the sea shipping or sea container, and our company, or my husband's company, as part of the relocation, has allowed us to have half of a 40-foot container, so a half container, a half shipping container, so 20-foot shipping containers. Now, I don't know how much stuff that is, but I know even when we moved from New Jersey to London, and we had a 3-bedroom townhome, and we took a lot of stuff because we weren't going to have the money to be able to replace, and this is when we had our son and all that, and of course all of his stuff. It was, it wasn't an overflowing townhome, but even then, that townhome and a family of 3 did not fill a 20-foot container. They actually brought the shipping container to the apartment. It was really cool to see it. And when they filled it all up, we were joking, saying, wow, we could just drive our Jeep Wrangler, that's one of the cars we had at the time, we could just drive it in there, park it sideways, and it still would not have filled all of the containers. So I know what we have is not going to overfill a 20-foot container. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they have like little smaller ones they put them in, but we had an allotment of up to that. The thing is that if we filled a 20-foot container, then we would have to get a 3, possibly 4-bedroom apartment house of some sort in Singapore, and that's not where we are. We've really, like I said, wanted to downsize over the years, and we really have, and I don't want to not do that. I want to continue trying to get us more and more to the most minimal that we feel like we need. There is the whole thought that we will be moving from Singapore at some point, and you're just kind of hoping it's going to be on the company's dime, but you never know when it's going to be on your dime. So, the less stuff you have to move, the better. But in this case, at least monetarily, it's not going to be a challenge for us in this mode. So you have a shipping container. You then have the next thing, which is an air cargo, air container. So there will be some things that we can put into an air freight, and those show up 2 to 3 weeks supposedly after you move. Now, when we moved to London, we had the same thing, and it was 2 weeks, boom, it was there. Now we're in a whole different world now. Okay, let's just it's a whole different world, so who knows. But this is stuff that I'm still going to want. But I have to be thinking one thing in this case, because when that shows up, we're going to be living in temporary accommodations. We're not going to be most likely in our apartment or flat. We don't know a lot of things yet about that. So temporary accommodations for us is really small. There was not a lot available. It is high competition right now with people moving in and out, because most people, they send their stuff via shipping container when they're leaving the country, and then they move into temporary accommodation while they finish up whatever it might be, whether it's finishing school for kids or it's just whatever the reason is that you still have to kind of hang around for a couple weeks. They move into temporary accommodation. People moving into the country, like my husband and myself, we're trying to get temporary accommodation because we don't have accommodations, and we don't really want to stay in a hotel for months on end, A, for cost, but B, also for convenience. But unfortunately, there is so much movement in and out of Singapore right now. These places are packed. And so finding availability is really kind of a challenge. And one of the challenges that we had is we couldn't even get a full 1 bedroom for the temporary accommodation. So we're basically getting a studio. It's an over-glorified hotel room is what it's going to be. However, it will have, a refrigerator, or it should. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Sorry, I got ill don't do that either. So I got ill for about the past 4 or 5 days with this whole move. It kind of made us have to rejig a lot of things. Can I just say, the number one thing that you must pack with you at all times when doing any relocation, any moving of any kind, is your flexibility, and your patience and your ability to go, sure, bring it on, we'll just deal with it, because that is what it takes. So I got ill to the point that I was not moving much. Every time I would move a little, I'd get exhausted, then I'd have to lay on this bed, which now is covered in stuff. So just saying, don't get sick in the middle of it. So now the thing is so I have this air freight thing that I need to be thinking about. And that's when you start putting things into buckets. What do I really need in the next 2 to 3 weeks once I get there that I can't replace, that I can't easily go find, or just stuff that, by that time I'm going to want it, or it's stuff that I really want to have in the house first and foremost. So once we get the apartment, the thing with me though is that it has to also be very mobile. I have to be able to pack it into bags and move it. Because I'm going to be the one that's going to be taking everything from the temporary accommodations to the apartment once we finally find one and rent. Anyway, the third thing that you have to be thinking about is what are you going to take on the plane with you? Now, in our case, because of the fact that we are flying at business class level, we can check free of charge, which if you want to pay, you can pay for as much as you want, but free of charge, 2 bags each. So now I'm like, okay, what is the stuff that I really want in those first 2 to 3 weeks? Because I don't think I mentioned it, but the container shipment could be anywhere from 6 to 9 or more weeks before we see our stuff. And from what I'm hearing, again, in this new wacky world we live in, people are not getting it even that quick. So, and we have to have an apartment for it to go into. So, so everything being container shipped is basically a lot of the stuff that I was living without for the last 8, 9, 10 months since we sold the place in Vermont and was waiting to move into a 2-bedroom. So that's definitely all going. I haven't needed it yet, but it's stuff that I still think I want, and my books. I just haven't needed them yet because I have plenty of books to read. But what I'm working on today over here is I'm starting to pack one of my 2 checked bags. And there was something I wanted to share with you guys. So come here. A lovely, completely unmade bed because I was ill, so I wanted to boil the sheets basically. So I stripped the bed and thought, okay, this is a good time to start packing this. And so what I wanted to show you mainly was that I am packing a lot of liquids in this because it's coming on the plane with us. It will be in checked baggage. So our sunscreens and stuff, and a lot of this stuff I already have, but sunscreens, facial cleanser, I think that's actually a moisturizer. And then you look down here, here's where the facial cleansers are and stuff. So I'm starting to go ahead and pack this suitcase with liquids. Liquids, small aerosol, if I really feel like I need it. Because one of the things is that I will tell you about is that you really shouldn't be packing liquids and stuff, or when they come to pack up the house, even for the container shipment, they can tell me no to liquids. So that is what I'm working on today, is just kind of going, look, I'm going to just start putting my extra stuff in here, because guess what? Then I can zip this thing up and I can store it in the suitcase and I start getting a visual of what's no longer in my drawers and like in the bathroom and stuff, so that I want to get that to a place that it's either the stuff I'm using on a daily basis that would go with me normally on a trip, and the only thing left is stuff for people, to whoever's going to be coming to move us, to pack up and take with us, but it's going to go via the shipping container. So what I'm trying to do is really distill everything into 3 areas, basically. There's going to be the stuff going on the plane with us, which also includes my carry-on and another little suitcase, because I can have up to 2. Like I said, my husband will have 2 pieces of luggage that he'll be checking as well, most likely. I don't know, we'll see where it goes, but we have up to that. But now it's all talking about trying to figure out what's going to go via sea, what's going air freight, and then what is going via checked baggage. So trying to get all of those liquids that I do want to keep, and then stuff I'm just going to have to get, say goodbye to. In the container, we're not allowed to have any spices. We're not allowed to have any food, basically, which makes sense. And they really don't, they won't let you pack things like aerosol cans and things like that. All of that. Not only is that a no shipping like on the containers, which is funny because we know aerosols come via shipping container, but they're packed and treated differently, and the shipping companies know what they're hauling. Personal goods have to go through customs there in Singapore, or if you're coming back to the States, they have to go through customs here in the United States. So either way, the thing is those are the things that can definitely hold up your stuff, and we have enough holding up things being shipped as it is, so I don't want to add to that. So, and the moving company has the right to look at me and go, no, you can't pack that. So rather than even trying or even thinking that maybe it'll be okay, when we did our survey, which was I walked around with my cell phone for the guy to see everything that we had. He brought up every time that I showed anything that was a liquid of any kind, aerosol, things like that. He's like, that's not going to be able to be packed, and it could also hold you up in Singapore and customs. So we don't want any of that. And the thing is, I'm not going to a country that doesn't have most of this stuff. The ones you saw me pack, the sunscreens and things, that I'm going to bring with me. And if you notice, I put them in those resealable packages and resealable silicone type bags. Because if with the pressure changing and stuff and they decide to explode, I don't want it over everything else. So that's why they're in those bags. But maybe once I get my bags packed, we might go through that a little bit more. But it's just something to kind of be thinking about. If you're doing this move, what you need to be aware you're going to have to get rid of. But again, moving to Singapore, I'm not worried after doing my look-see trip. There is tons out there. There really is. I'm feeling really confident that if there's anything I really, really need, I can find it in some form. It might be called something different, but they're going to have it. And, so got to kind of play it by ear. I don't want to pack up all the United States and bring it with me. That's not the point of moving to a different country in my mind. But we're also moving to a country that has a lot of great stuff because they have such a huge expat influence and community that has been there for so many years. It's developed along the way. So that's, one of the things that they say about Singapore is it is a good introduction into Asia without having to really, really give up every single thing you've ever known. I don't know. I think the world's all collapsing down anyways, and it's basically the same thing. You're seeing it again and again all over. I was surprised at how many of the stores, but that's a different story. How many same stores that we have here in the United States, but I'll talk about that in a different video. So right now, that's what I'm working on. Like I said, we're going to just say 10 days to go. That's really frightening for me to say that, but it is true. We are getting to the point in the apartment. So you see this lovely chair back here and like the layout. We're getting to the things that are the very, very end. The chair's not going with us. The table will. And the bookshelves, of course, but we've gotten rid of, like I said, the recliner. We've also given the sofa away. Somebody has come and got that, and it's been rehomed. So I'm very happy, and they're very happy with it, so that's great. But for the next week, what we're going to be focusing on is our storage and getting everything in here. So probably the next time you're going to see me is showing you all the boxes sitting in this lovely living room. But this is the hardest time for us, and this is kind of what started this whole discussion. It's so hard to be living someplace where you feel like, I feel like I'm back in college, to be honest with you. I have mismatched furniture. I have stuff just piled on top of one another. There's not a lot of surface place, and and I don't want to put anything in the cupboards. The urge to organize is huge in this one, and I can't. I have to leave it out because, as I was saying before, the packing companies are going to want to see your packing. So they'll look at like my books and stuff and see if they're packed well enough for them. But if not, they will repack everything because it's their responsibility to get our things shipped. So hold on a second. So this is a box which has a beautiful painting in it. It's actually a painting that Simon's sister gave him from China probably well over 30 years ago, I would think. And it has traveled all over. We've had it in different houses. We never got it put up here. We were going to, it was a perfect wall for it, and we never had it put up. It needs special hanging. However, it has been packed by the movers who moved us from Katy, Texas to New Jersey. And it's never been unpacked. But even though it's been packed by a professional packing company, there's a good chance my company, for this move, are going to unpack it and want to repack it because it's now their responsibility. And they're going to want to open it and make sure that it wasn't broken before it got onto their shipping containers. So all of that is just a little thing to let you know that even if you have things that you feel are packed, I have some china that we're going to go ahead and bring with us that I packed really carefully and all that when we moved out of the cottage last year. But it may not be packed appropriately for a shipping container and for moving across the world. I wonder how it's going to go. Oh, that'll be interesting. That would be cool. I wonder if you can do that. I bet I couldn't. Put like a tracker in the box, like you do track your bag, and then I could see where I bet I can't do that. It probably wouldn't last that long. But you know what? I'm going to go research it because I'm just curious. That would be kind of cool. Anyway, so you got to find the interesting things with this. Otherwise, it will drive you nuts. But yes, we are in the middle of this. It feels like we're back in college, mix match, to have no, furniture and not being able to really put things away. And it's really uncomfortable. And I really don't like it. But you know what? It's just where we're at, and it's how it's gonna have to be for the next couple months. Once we get to that small temporary accommodation, I can't even imagine. It's gonna be like living in a hotel room, except for we should have more of a kitchenette and stuff like that. So I'm hoping there's at least that space. And gosh, when the air freight shows up for that, it's gonna be a nightmare because it's gonna fill up half of the place. But it is what it is. So I'm really thinking of air freight of stuff that I really would like to have, stuff for this channel, probably, so I could get started. Some of my hobby stuff, not all of it, far from all of it, but some of it just so that I can start feeling a little bit more like myself. That is something, not being able to do my hobbies because I can't in this situation. It would be unfair to Simon for me to be dragging that stuff out, and I really need to be going through it. I need to be putting it, in places and it's going to be packed. So, but I've missed them. I really do. I miss having that creative thing. I'm finding other little creative outlets, but they are not near what I really want. And I can feel that I need it. And I didn't realize. So that's something I've learned. I didn't realize how important that had become for me. So 10 days out, they're going to be coming to pick up the stuff. Once they pick the stuff up here in the apartment, that is it. We then move into a hotel, actually just across the way. We have a cleaning day the next day to clean the apartment, turn in the keys, do all of that stuff. But we are in a hotel for 2 days near the apartment, and then we move to a third day at the airport, and then we fly out that following Sunday morning. So, and that's it, or it's got to be. We still have a lot to do. But we're making progress, and things are getting moving, and we know dates now, so I'm much more happy about that. Still know nothing about an apartment. Moving to a country without a place to live. No, not the easiest thing in the world. So, oh, by the way, Simon's not here today because he went this weekend to go take all the stuff to our son because I wasn't feeling well. We didn't want to do the whole sicky thing, and I needed some rest anyway. So he's not here, but he's on his way back. So thanks for checking in to see whenever we get beyond this nest. But thanks for checking in to see what we're doing and what's going on beyond the nest. Bye for now.